It's That Popular Podcast. Mitch Prinstein is a psychology professor at UNC Chapel Hill and the former chief science officer at the American Psychological Association. Aaron Keck is a political scientist and award-winning radio host. Together, they discuss the popular and not so popular quirks of human behavior. Welcome into That Popular Podcast. Now, here's Mitch and Aaron.
And welcome into this episode. I'm Aaron. This is Mitch. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing okay. You just got back from New York.
I did. Oh my God. It was crazy. I am always in awe of how people actually live there. It's so crowded. I'm just walking like 3 blocks. I swear I bumped into 20 people.
Right.
I don't know how many of them even noticed it. Like there are dogs, there are construction workers, there are sirens. I seem to be the only one that was like attending to all of that. It was just, I don't know how, I'm in awe and a little frightened of how people do that.
No, they're all attending to it. They just do it so naturally that you don't even notice them doing it. The bumping in is part of it. Everything is part of it.
Maybe that's like how to be friendly there is to like slam your shoulder into someone else's.
Hey, how you going?
Yeah, not even acknowledge them and make them drop their, whatever from the street side. No, it's good. I like New York. But, the thing for me is that it's a very it's you against the world. Like if you can cross the street 5 milliseconds before someone else, somehow you've won. It's just very different from the South where it's a little bit more like, we'll get there when we get there.
Right. I love New York, and it took me a while to understand New York. And I don't remember what it was that happened or what I was thinking or what I was experiencing in the moment, but it finally just hit me all at once. And I realize now that New Yorkers are the most polite people in the world. Polite.
All right, say more.
So politeness is a function of being respectful of and responsive to the people around you, right? And when you are in New York, especially Manhattan, but just New York in general, you've got 8 million people in like a tiny little bit of space. Wherever you happen to be, like geographically, that space in any given moment, 8 people need to be in that space in the next 2.5 seconds.
Absolutely.
So politeness requires you to keep moving as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And because New Yorkers are extremely polite and because they care so much about politeness, when they see someone being rude, they will let you know about it.
So
honking of the horns that you constantly hear, that is New Yorkers saying, hey, stop being rude and be polite for once.
I like this take. I had always thought of New York as like people are initiating rudeness, but you're saying it's like policing that like stay in the social norm, fit into what needs to happen here.
It's not cutthroat. It's actually very communitarian, and it's wild.
Wow. Okay. I kind of agree. I have one experience that is a little bit at odds. I remember it really well. It was Christmas Day. I was seeing Lord of the Rings in Manhattan.
Oh, man.
There was one seat that was available, and I was there with a friend, and they had found a seat like close to it. It's like, this is as good as we're going to get because it was packed.
Right.
Just as I'm about to sit down in the seat, an old lady body checks me out of my seat and like goes and steals it. And I'm looking at her. I'm like, it's Christmas Day, for God's sakes. Like, seriously? You're literally, and an old lady is kind of the match for me. So, she effectively made me stumble away, and she got the seat, and I sat God knows where, but what that to me was...
I have no explanation for that one.
Okay. Let's just chalk that up to that lady, and she's the devil.
For sure. Although, what Lord of the Rings was it? Was it Fellowship? Was it Two Towers?
I think it was
Return
number
of the King?
2.
Two Towers? Okay.
Yeah.
How close to 9/11 were you in the movie theater is my question. Because there's a whole like psychological thing that happens in New York post 9/11.
I'm going to have to think about that.
But I always thought that like brought New Yorkers closer together, which means that the body check lady is even more at odds with what New York should be. So I have no explanation for that one.
But your initial take on it, I mean, it's kind of interesting because, for scientists that are looking at, how we interact socially with folks, there's kind of this really interesting phenomenon that really fits what you're talking about. Like, okay, imagine any social interaction you've been in, whether it's literally just walking past somebody on the street or seeing somebody that may or may not be looking at you from far away to like, a 2-hour in-depth conversation with someone very, very well. Every single one of these social interactions proceeds through the same 6 steps.
Okay.
Scientists would say, but we're not usually aware of them. You'd have to go to like super slow-mo and really like look at the, teeny minutia of the social interaction. Does all of this
happen in like the space of a few seconds?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
And for most of us, it's so automatic that you don't even realize what's happening, which means, spoiler alert, that you're kind of what's guiding all these things is like all your prior social experiences. But let me break it down. So, the first step, and scientists, of course, have like nerdy names for all this, but it's, called cue encoding. And it's basically the idea of, do you notice what other people may notice in that situation? So if you walk in a bar and you're used to everyone like turning heads and staring at you immediately, you're probably really used to walking in and being like, oh, look at all these people looking at me and smiling at me. If you're not someone that has that experience very often, there could literally be like 2 or 3 people doing that, and you just won't notice. And I don't mean that you see it and you discount it like, oh, they're probably commenting on someone behind me.
Looking at someone else.
No, you literally don't even encode that thing is happening at all.
Interesting.
So they did actually these really cool experiments where they took people who were like bullied a lot and people who were not bullied a lot, and they had them watch this movie, like a short movie about kids in a high school setting. And they had them wear eye tracker devices so you could see like exactly where on screen they were looking. And the people who were bullied a lot, their eyes focused on parts in the background of the scene where kids were being not treated as well. And the kids without experiences of bullying literally just never even saw that part of the scene.
Interesting.
So we are constantly walking around like self-selecting into things that fit our general idea of how our social lives work, which is weird unless you've ever like done a talk in front of a big crowd and everyone could be like cheering and waving and smiling and holding up lighters and bouncing beach balls, but if there's one person in the back sleeping, you're like, damn it, that person.
Every stand-up comedian, right, they'll like single out the person in the front row who's like got their arms crossed and looking dour.
That's right. And they're probably like, I really have to be hyper vigilant for anything that says the set is not going well. So, well, anyways, that's cue encoding. But then what happens is that, so let's say you notice something, right? Like, and then you have to make sense of it. Mm-hmm. So you're walking down New York, you're on 6th Avenue. I was just headed from 30th to 33rd. The fact that I knew which direction to go, which was uptown versus downtown, was,
almost to Macy's, but not quite.
That's right. I mean, this was an accomplishment. I was feeling like very urban skilled, good for me. So people are walking by, and of course, your shoulder is going to slam into someone else's shoulder because they're on their phone or they're, So in that moment, and again, remember, we're usually not thinking about this consciously. It's happening like super fast. But so you have a choice. How do you interpret what just happened? Is it, okay, it's really crowded. They were on their phone. They didn't even see me walking by. So that's a pretty neutral interpretation. Mm-hmm. Or, damn it, that person is, what are they doing?
Right.
Like, are they trying to make me feel like I'm not as New York enough for them, or I'm not as tough, or I'm not as, whatever?
Or the in-between, which is, oh, they didn't see me walking by. Why are they not paying attention to their surroundings, right? It's not even against me. It's just like, that's a bad person for not doing that.
Or and this isn't out of the realm of possibilities, like, I don't even know who that was. And was it someone trying to get my attention because maybe they're trying to meet me, or maybe they're thought that I looked good or bad or whatever? Like, there's all kinds of, it's literally just, I noticed that my shoulder touched someone else's shoulder.
Yep.
What does that mean?
Yep.
I mean, and you have to decide that. Think about how many things happen to you socially within like every second of your life. Like, you're constantly having to decide, like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And then I'm thinking about like react or not.
Like, I'm driving down the road and someone like 3 cars away honks their horn. Is that about me, or is that about someone? It's got to be about somebody else,
exactly.
Right? But is it about me? Like, is my gas tank like popped open and they're trying to let me know, or something like that?
Right. Yeah.
Always
is it like pouring out the back of my car right now?
Yeah.
And I mean, 100%. And the thing is, like, if you think about how many things we have to notice, process, decide whether and how to respond to or not, we have to build like a super good machine in our brains to like constantly be making these judgments. So if you're someone that all the time has people like bang their shoulder against yours to be like, get out of the way, loser, then you're going to probably just immediately jump to the conclusion that like, here we go again, you know. But if you're someone that constantly has people like rubbing their shoulders up against you in like some weird flirty way, then you're probably going to make that assumption like super fast. So it's amazing how much that ends up setting you on a completely different course for what's going to happen in the next second, an hour, and week, and the rest of your life.
Like different people experiencing and seeing the same thing are experiencing and seeing completely different things based on their past experience. Yeah.
And so this is what happens, right? So you're in New York, let's say, and like we have a totally different interpretation of why people are rude the way that they are in New York. But maybe that says as much about us as it does whatever has happened to us when we were in New York, right? So kids that have a tendency, and we see this in adults too, and you know who this person is in your workplace. You know who this person is in your family. So just think about that for a second.
And if you don't, it's you.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly right. But the person who's like quick to assume that someone's being mean.
Yep.
Right. So someone like accidentally sits in your chair or nudges your lunch plate over or something like that. And you're like, damn it, what's their problem? And they immediately are super hot-headed. They get freaked out. Like the world's all against them. And literally the exact same thing can happen to somebody else. And either they don't notice it. That's the cue encoding. Or they notice it and they're like, yeah, whatever, cool. I'm sure it's for whatever other reason. And they seem to just live life with no assumption that anyone is ever mean to them.
I'm a completely different person as far as that goes at work versus with my family. With my family, I take everything in stride. At work, my guard is so up.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
What is the difference in context, right? That makes us think like, wait a minute, in this situation, I'm going to make this assumption, but in that situation,
Yeah.
Like there's something that we bring to the table in these social interactions.
And for me, it's past experiences at work that go back literally 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And I'm working on getting over it, but it's a gradual process.
It is because if you're constantly like seeing the world through hostile colored glasses, it's really hard to convince yourself, wait a minute, maybe that's me. Maybe that's not really what's happening. It takes a lot of checking in with yourself and being like, hang on, I think I'm the one interpreting it that way.
Yeah. And with my family, I'm the one who takes everything in stride. I've got other people in my family who immediately jump to the most hostile conclusion possible whenever anything happens, and I'm the one trying to talk them down. Whereas at work, it's my boss trying to talk me down, and it's the exact same conversation, but I'm on different sides of it.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
It's very interesting. I've never thought about that before.
So I'm talking about how this stuff happens like super fast. You don't even realize that you're making these assumptions. But
we're also only through 2 of the 6 steps, right?
Right. So there's so many more.
Yeah.
But this is like the cool one probably to like really think about because it sets the course for what happens with everything else, which is essentially that we decide, how to respond, and we may or may not be very good at responding the way that we planned on responding. But that's for later. But sometimes I should say like that cue interpretation phase, it's not implicit and fast. Sometimes it's really slow. So think about like a teenager who is texting someone that they're interested in, and think about them getting a text and it's perfectly ambiguous.
Right.
Think about the hours that they spend with their friends being like, did they mean this? Did they mean they'll call me because they really want to call me? Did they say like, so that's when we notice that our cue interpretation phase becomes like super explicit. We might even ruminate on that for like hours, Well, this is the thing. Like we have to take that process that's implicit, and we every once in a blue moon have to say, wait a minute, slow this down. I'm going to check in with other people.
Yep.
Like maybe my initial impression of that was wrong. Like let me ask some people like, what did you make of that? Did you think they were being like completely weird in that meeting, or was that just me?
Yep.
And when we're doing that stuff, it's very much us, like you're saying that you do, with your coworkers, like that checking and being like, I'm open to the possibility that I have a weird take on what just happened and I'm needing to get others' input.
Yep. This is also why it's great to have siblings, right? If you're an only child, you don't have that person to check in with.
I know.
Yeah.
No, that's completely true. But the interesting thing is siblings is a great example because, they might have totally different social experiences, but we pick friends that tend to see the world in similar ways. So all of you walk around and be like, yeah, screw them. But you all might be having the same bias.
Yep.
And that's really important. So let me just say also, like, this could totally flip the other way. Like, you want someone that's a little hypervigilant to rejection in your life. They're the good canary in the coal mine for you. Like, if I'm assembling a team of people, to work on a project, I want one person who's been rejected in their childhood on that team because, they're going to be really skilled. This isn't a bad thing. Imagine the opposite, people that are like, I've had nothing but being carried off on my other shoulders my whole life. People just fawn at me all the time. They're missing cues that tell them, actually, people are not so happy with you right now.
Ooh, yeah.
Like that was someone casually, gently trying to tell you that you're being weird or obnoxious, and you're missing that because you're just so used to seeing the world through these very sunny, positive glasses.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's a good question, like, which one are you? And which one are you in what situations, like you were saying? And like, are you in rooms where everyone has the same bias? Or are you in rooms where you have enough of a range and you have a safe place enough to talk with people and be like, what did you take from that? What did I take? All right, just want to make sure because otherwise we're all missing the boat.
Now this is telling me that we need to make sure that children, when they're growing up, are in situations of adversity at some point. Like, we're constantly trying to shield kids from, and that's good, but like, not entirely, right?
Yeah. I mean, we should actively bully young children until they
exactly
cry at least
right.
once a
Yeah,
week.
it's where I was going with that. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
No, actually, your point is totally right. Because, if we shield our kids from ever having the experience of a bad moment, an awkward situation, if we're too helicopter, in the way that we parent, we're not letting kids have the experience of having to figure this out every once in a while. And of course, we don't want them to have like severely traumatic experiences,
right.
But this kind of friction in relationships, it's normal, it's healthy, it's good. It teaches us skills that we're depriving kids if we're like, no, I'm never going to have them have anything but happy, sunny, kumbaya experiences with their peers.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because that ultimately implies that we're never going to achieve perfection, right? Like, you want to have a life of happy kumbaya, but you're missing out on so much personal fulfillment if you don't.
Right?
Yeah,
it's
wild.
This is the stuff that makes us human, right? Like other species is like, what did that other, meerkat think of me? I don't know. Like that's not like, but this is the stuff that like our relationships, our humanity, our, interacting with others. Well, anyway, so you talked about those other steps. So basically what happens is that after we have that cue interpretation, we have what's called goal clarification, which is like, what do I want to do? Someone just bumped their shoulder into my shoulder walking through the streets of Manhattan. And I'm pretty positive that they did it to make me feel small and passive and weak and for them to feel like tough and superior.
Yep.
So what's my goal? Well, if I'm walking through Manhattan and I have a real complex about this, I might say, well, I'm going to show them that I'm the dominant one and I'm not going to take that crap. If it's like evening and it's a part of Manhattan that maybe isn't like a very safe area, and if I'm not feeling particularly like I need to show my dominance, I might be like, holy crap, I am going to make sure my safety is number one. So you pick a goal. And then the last three are your response generation. You think about what are different things I can do to meet that goal, your response selection, and your response enactment. So in other words, what should I do? Here are my choices. I'm going to pick one. Now I'm going to do it.
Okay.
And those all sound like the same one, but how many times have you thought like, I'm going to say this? And then when it comes out of your mouth, you're like,
yep.
I didn't expect to be this emotional when I said it. What the hell's going on?
Or you just don't do it at all, right? Like, next time I see this person, I'm going to say this or I'm going to do that. And then the moment comes and you just let it pass, right? Yeah.
Every one of these steps is influenced by every previous social interaction you've ever had. A lot of them, the ones you had when you were a teenager and you were just like developing your adult like repertoire of social skills.
Now, all I can think about is the old lady at the Two Towers and what her experience was that led her to react that way.
Well, and this is why I feel like in New York, there's this like eat or be eaten thing, because if you don't if you don't advocate for yourself, someone's going to take your cab, your space in line. So she's probably like, look, either I shove this guy out of the way and get my seat or I'm screwed. And a little respect to her for being like, good for you, old lady, to make sure you had a good Christmas day.
There's a Gollum Smeagol thing going on in her head, like, take the seat. No, it's
That's
fine. I'll get
right.
another seat. It's fine.
I'd like to think that it was a dilemma for her, but she was determined. This old lady, like, wow, like my popcorn like went flying. This was like, well, anyway, I think like it's interesting because it is like where you live and what it's like, that changes this whole thing. Like, and every interaction you're having is influenced by like, what do I need? What do I want? What am I willing to give up? How am I going to interpret the world around me? What am I willing to do to get those things? And I don't know. Mad respect to New York for figuring out in a world of 8-10 million people, how to figure out how to get through a day.
When you lose count, it doesn't even matter.
That's right.
This has been That Popular Podcast. Find all our episodes on thatpopularpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.